Yo guys, what is going on? Today I wanted to share with you how you can import a vehicle into Mexico. So I'm going to tell you how you can get the TIP, temporary import permit for your vehicle, the FMM card, which is the tourist visa for Mexico, the whole process. Because I've just done this recently, I wanted to share this information with you to shorten your learning curve and make your life a lot easier than if you were to do it on your own without this information we're about to share with you in the video. So the first thing that you have to know is that in order for you to do this, okay, there are a couple documents you have to bring with you. First of all, you need your registration certificate from your state. Now, if you want to import a vehicle from Canada to Mexico, then you would need to bring your registration certificate from Canada, from the issuing authority. If your vehicle is registered in America, then you need it from your specific state. So that's the first thing you need. Of course, you need a driver's license. If not, you cannot import a vehicle. That's also important. You need to bring your passport for you know, the tourist visa, because that's where you get the stamp in, and the FMM card will be tied to your passport. You need to know that the TIP, the temporary import permit, can only be obtained from Banjercito. Okay, this is the official issuing agency in Mexico. So you have to go there to get this import permit. You cannot get it anywhere else. I mean, technically you could apply for it online, you can do this. But if you drive across the border, okay, if you want to bring your vehicle across the border and you want to pick up your temporary import permit, then what you need to do is you need to do it at Banjercito, okay, the official issuing agency. So that's very, very important. How does that work and where can you do this? Let's say you want to cross into Mexico from San Diego, okay, meaning from San Diego into Tijuana. So there will be Banjercito offices there. If you want to cross from El Paso into Mexico, you will have options there. If you want to cross from McAllen into Reynosa, you will have options. So plenty of options available, right? These issuing agencies, they exist in many border cities across Mexico. You want to go to the CITEV, okay, which is the government office, the government building, where you can find Banjercito. Okay, and like I said, it exists in the border cities. So that's where you want to do that. How you do it is you drive your car across the border, you know, just as you would do it on any given day. And then, you know, you want to go to this government office, CITEV. Okay, you can Google it. They exist, like I said, in Reynosa, they exist in Ciudad Juarez, and also in Tijuana. I haven't really checked out the smaller border cities, but there's a good chance that they will also exist there. And so you bring all your documents, okay? You bring your registration certificate, of course you bring your car, you bring your passport, your driver's license, and of course you also need insurance, right? Right, to get the permit and the tourist visa, you obviously need money as well. Now, if you want to import a vehicle, okay, from America into Mexico or from Canada into Mexico, right? Doesn't matter where your vehicle is registered, then you have to put down a deposit. It's a refundable deposit, and the deposit amount is predicated on the vehicle age. If your vehicle is from 2007 or younger, then you would need to put down a $400 refundable deposit, which can be paid by a credit card or cash. Now you have to consider that when you return the vehicle, right? So when you leave Mexico again, you know, which needs to happen before your tourist visa expired for you to get this deposit back, then you have to stop again at the same office and say that you want to export your vehicle back to America, right? And then they will refund you that deposit. If you paid by credit card, then it will take some time for you, you know, to get that money back. If you paid in cash, you will get it back right on the spot, assuming everything looks good and that you followed everything as it was outlined. A $400 deposit if your vehicle is from 2007 or younger, so let's say 2007 to 2023, you put down a $400 refundable deposit. If your vehicle is from 2001 to 2006, it's a $300 deposit. If your vehicle is pretty old, meaning 2000 or older, then it's a $200 refundable deposit. When I went there, the first thing that I did was I talked to them, and they made sure that I had all the documents before I went, to get my FMM card. So he took a look at my registration certificate, at my passport, and some other documents as well. And if you don't have insurance, let's say you get there, right, to the CITEV in the border city in Mexico, and you don't have insurance before you get there, then you can buy insurance on the spot. However, that's not what I recommend because it's going to be a lot more expensive. I bought my insurance in Texas, and I paid about 50% of what I would have paid had I purchased it in Mexico, okay? Because when you buy it there in the government office, there's a pretty high markup on it. So you pay at least 70-80% more. But if you do your homework and you buy it, let's say in California or in Texas, then you can get it for much, much less. That's what I recommend you to do as well. That's a hot tip because I've talked to people who purchased the insurance there at the government office in Mexico, and they ended up paying like double of what I paid. So this is a hot tip, and it should save you a good amount of money. So like I said, the first thing that I did when I got to the office, the CITEV, was that, they asked me, do you have your passport? Do you have your registration certificate? Why are you going to Mexico? So I had to mention the reason. Then they told me about the process, what I need to do, that I need to get the FMM card, and then that they were going to check the documents again, make some copies, and then I had to pay, right? I had to pay, first of all, for the temporary import permit for my vehicle. So that was roughly $50, $55, something like that. I think I paid 900 pesos. And for the tourist visa, I paid about $42. And by the time you're watching this video, there's a good chance that these amounts might have changed, depending on the current exchange rate, right? Depending on whether the peso is strong or weak. One thing I want to point out here is that the refundable deposit, whether you pay 200, 300, 400, is always based on US dollars. So it's not based on pesos. So you pay the deposit in dollars. When it comes to paying for the FMM card or the temporary vehicle import permit, you can pay it in pesos or in dollars. But like I said, for the refundable deposit, you always pay that deposit in US dollars. Very important. If you're driving into Mexico and you're like, well, I want to start as early as possible. I want to leave at 6 a.m. Well, depending on your point of entry, I don't know how much traffic there is. The office opens at 9 a.m. So even if you get there at 6:30, you may not be able to get your temporary import permit before the office opens at 9 a.m. And if there are people waiting, then you can add some extra time on top. It took me about 40 to 45 minutes to get my tourist visa and TIP, temporary import permit, for my vehicle that I imported into Mexico. But I was aware of the fact that I probably, needed to wait a little bit before I was able to get all of this done. But it didn't bother me, so I just had some coffee, had some breakfast, and I got it done early because I had a long journey down to central Mexico, which I decided to complete in one day. That's what I did, and I just recommend you to beware of that because, if you get there at already 5 or 6 a.m., you don't want to wait outside for a couple of hours unless you're really willing to do that. So you get your temporary import permit for your vehicle in the same place where you get your FMM card. That's important because technically you can get your FMM card at a different place as soon as you cross into Mexico, whether that's by car or walking. But if you're importing the vehicle, then I recommend that you get the FMM card at the CITEV office because they do both, right? They issue tourist visas and also vehicle import permits for Mexico. If you want to import your vehicle, right, you cannot import it indefinitely, right? So the TIP is valid for as long as your visa is valid for. What does that mean? Well, if you travel to Mexico on a tourist visa and you get it at the border, then the maximum amount you can get is 180 days, meaning your TIP will be valid for 180 days as well. Should you have a temporary residence permit, right, card for Mexico, which, is like 4 years, you get 1 year and then it's extendable. So again, it's going to be valid for as long as your residence permit is valid for. And technically, you need to leave Mexico with the car before your visa expires, or the vehicle is considered illegal in Mexico. So if you want to move to Mexico on a permanent basis, you might want to consider selling your vehicle in America, in Canada, and purchasing a new vehicle in Mexico, simply because it's a much easier process. If you're going to Mexico because you want to check out the country, right? You want to try it out, you want to try living in the city, maybe get a residence permit later on, then what you want to do is you can definitely drive your vehicle into Mexico and do that and leave before your visa expires, and also make sure that you export your vehicle before your visa expires so you can get the refundable deposit back. All right, I want to throw in a couple more tips because this might not be obvious, but I wanted to discuss it anyway. Please do not drive exotic vehicles into Mexico. When I say exotic vehicles, I mean Italian brands, okay? Italian makes, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati, right? Don't drive these brands into Mexico. First of all, the roads aren't as good as they are in the US. Secondly, you're gonna draw more attention than you want. And if you go based on the same principles that I go, you wanna keep a low profile. This is just my 2 cents. I wouldn't drive a German car either. I mean, a BMW, a Mercedes, an Audi. Those cars are pretty expensive to purchase in Mexico. I drive an average car in Mexico. A Japanese car is fine. Honda, Hyundai, Toyota, Mazda, Nissan, right? These cars are fine. Or if you want to drive a Kia, that's also fine. Or if you want to drive an American car like a Ford, General Motors, all good, right? All average cars that blend in with the cars people drive in Mexico. And of course, make sure you don't forget your documents. Bring your registration certificate, your driver's license, insurance. You don't need the title, at least I didn't need the title. So please make sure you bring all your documents before you drive your vehicle into Mexico. If you need any help with obtaining a residence permit for Mexico, then you're welcome to reach out to us. We are a relocation company that helps individuals move from Canada and United States to Mexico. We can help you obtain a temporary residence permit, a permanent residence permit while you're in Mexico. So you can apply from within Mexico. You don't need to apply from outside of Mexico. There are options in place. So if you're interested in living in Mexico and would like to work with us, then please feel free to contact us right now. The email address is added down below. Do you want to import your car into Mexico? Do you have any questions about this topic? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe now and turn on alerts to never miss any of my future nomadism, dating, and business advice videos. Thank you for watching.